Hello and welcome to Yoga with Glenn. I'm Glenn. Welcome to your quick reset flow. All you'll need as far as props today is a yoga block or two. If you don't have those, a sturdy book to support yourself will do just fine. Please hop in some comfy clothes. I recommend a mat just for alignment purposes, but if you don't have one, that's okay. And let's get started. To begin today, meet me standing on your mat sideways, and if you don't have a mat, just stand in a place where you'll have room to move around. But begin by bringing the feet together, even point of contact in the feet, some energy in the thighs, level hips, our arms are energized, palms either facing in or facing out with energized fingers. Nice open heart space, level chin, and gaze is slightly up. This is Tadasana in its proper form. So we'll inhale, circle the arms up, push the hips forward, a slight back bend here, pointing the fingers up at the sky and draw a line as far as you can, and then take a dive forward with an exhale. In this standing forward fold, keep the feet together, keep the legs together. Inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, fold. And then as we rise, we're going to bring our arms overhead and sink our hips down for chair pose. Hold this chair pose for a breath or two. Arms overhead, biceps by the ears. And then exhale, fold, plant the hands, and start to step out to the side about as wide, almost as wide as your mat. Maybe so the wrist stack over the ankle if you put your arm out. This is a standing forward fold. The edges of the feet parallel with the edges of the mat. And here you can take a second. Just let yourself fold more. If you like to intensify the stretch on the back body, you can reach the hands behind you and sort of with your fingertips pull yourself further and further into this stretch. Or if you just like to hang out here in the middle, that's okay too. After you've taken a breath or two here in this position, we're going to turn the feet out. Turn the toes out, turn the heels in, and then going to rise up into goddess pose. And if you can here, try to bring the knees out, really open those hips like you're sitting back on a chair, opening the heart space with these arms here in goddess pose. A breath or two here. And then fold forward again, straightening the legs. Bringing the feet in just a little bit, turning out the right foot, maybe left to you if you're watching this. Set yourself up sort of in this triangle pose, but we're going to eventually stand up into Warrior One. If you have those blocks close by, these would be a good time to recruit those. I'm going to just scoot back here on my mat. When you have your feet set up for Warrior One, rise up into Warrior One, a bend in that front leg, kicking that back foot out just about 30, 45 degrees maybe, whatever you need to leave the heel on the ground. And then bring the arms down by the hips, load up into the front leg, and then float yourself into Warrior Three. Find your balance here, spread the toes, get as much of your foot on the ground as possible. If you need blocks here to balance in your Warrior Three, that's okay. And especially if you need a block on this next part, we're going to open up into half moon. So arms straight up in the air, really opening the hips, the back foot, toes pointed straight out, side of the foot parallel with the ground. Try to keep this front foot straight. If you need the block, that's fine. If you don't, You can float off of it even better. And then look towards the ground. Find your other block if you need it. Bring the other foot to the ground. Set yourself back up for that warrior one, and then warrior one, rise up. Inhale, and then exhale, folding over that front leg. Planting those hands, following along here, turning yourself to the side of your mat in that wide-legged forward fold once more. Now that we've done some work on this, my right leg, maybe left to you, feel the difference between the legs, between the muscles of the legs. Now that one has worked, one has not, maybe feel a different sensation from side to side. Now with the weight on the hands, start to walk the feet in until they meet in the center, and you're in this standing forward fold. Bend at the knees if you need to. Rest the torso against the thighs. Take a breath. And after an exhale, we'll begin to very, very slowly roll up. First, straightening the legs, letting the head hang heavy, chin against the chest as we roll up one vertebrae at a time, very slowly. Coming back to our starting position, our Tadasana. Adjust anything you need to adjust. Here in this proper Tadasana, and we'll start with the same again. Let's start here at hands at heart center to begin with. Kind of a slight bend in these knees. And then with an inhale, we'll drive the hands and arms up. Try to get a little bit deeper of a back bend this time. And exhale. Dive forward, forward fold. Familiar spot, let yourself hang. Then when you're ready, inhale. Halfway lift, lengthen the spine, extend to the crown, and then fold. And then we're going to rise up into our chair pose, arms overhead. Sink the hips down like you're sitting in a chair. Try to get the biceps by the ears. Try not to arc in the back too much. Once you've taken 2 breaths, on the exhale, fold forward, planting those hands and then walking the feet out. One at a time if you need to. Remember, just about as wide as the wrists stack over the ankles, edge of the foot parallel with the mat. Now's a good time to switch our blocks. And then just be here in your forward fold. Again, if you'd like to get a little bit more stretch on the back body, use those fingers, kind of peel yourself more into this fold. A breath or two, and then we will turn the toes out, heels in. Prepare yourselves to rise up into goddess pose. Almost like we're sitting in a chair again, but this time we're opening those hips. Try to sink deeper and deeper into this goddess pose. A breath, and then exhale. Straighten the legs and fold. And then begin to turn to the opposite side, my left, probably your right if you're following along. I'm going to adjust myself back on my mat so I have room. Remember the front foot, front toes pointed forward, slight bend in the front knee, back foot, toes pointed out about 30, 45 degrees, whatever you need to leave the back heel on the ground. And if you like to support of your blocks, you can have them close by, but we'll rise up into warrior one, biceps by ears again. Hips are pointed forward. A breath here in our warrior one. And then we'll bring the wrists down by the hips, load up into this front leg, And then fly into your warrior three. Once you've found balance in your warrior three, try to keep the hips straight. And then grab that block if you need to and open yourself up into your half moon. This arm straight up. This leg, the foot, the toes are pointed out. Side of the foot is parallel with the ground. Trying to straighten this front leg and trying to have as little weight as possible on this block with this hand. Breath, and then turn, reset, back down to the ground. Find your footing for your warrior one, and then inhale, rise up, warrior one, and then exhale, fold onto your blocks. Blocks off to the side once you have them. Hands on the ground for support. Turn back to the side of your mat. Feet wide in this wide-legged forward fold. And then relax, fold. Again, there's a time to be present with your body. Feel what the opposite side feels like now. Maybe they feel the same now. Maybe the left feels different from the right still. Plant your hands, the wrists underneath the shoulders for support, and then begin to walk the feet in slowly until they eventually meet in the middle. Feet together, ankles together. Knees, thighs, and then a bend at the knees. Rest the torso against those thighs. And this standing forward fold. Take a moment, and then we will rise very slowly, as slow as possible. And when you're ready, after an exhale, slow rise, starting by straightening the legs, upper body still hanging very heavy. Rising up into your Tadasana. Fix your clothes, adjust yourself, whatever you need to do. In your Tadasana, the feet are even, contact between the ball of the foot, the heel. There's some energy here in the thighs. Our hips are level. Energy in the arms and the fingertips, palms facing in or out. Open heart space. And the space behind the heart is open also, so we're not scrunched up in the shoulders. Level chin and a soft gaze, slightly up. Let's take one last breath together to close out this practice. So we'll circle the arms up with an inhale. And then as we exhale, bring the hands down to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me in today's practice. Hopefully this served as just a quick reset for you, whatever time of day you decide to do this practice. Thank you, and namaste.